Ukraine says it thwarted a plot to overthrow the government, CNN.
Here's a summary of the article.
Ukraine has foiled an alleged plot to overthrow the government that would have played into Russia's hands, security officials in the war-torn country said Monday. In a Telegram post, the Security Service of Ukraine claimed the plot organizers planned to trigger a riot in Kyiv on June 30 as a distraction to seize control of the Ukrainian parliament and remove the military and political leadership from power. The Office of Ukraine's Prosecutor General said the alleged leader of the plot is a head of a non-governmental entity who already had the experience of participating in fruitless provocative events. The alleged scheme in Kyiv comes as Russia has made slow but steady battlefield gains in recent months, exploiting Ukraine's diminishing manpower and reliance on the West for weapons, and uncertainty over the future of that military aid. Concerns have grown over the future of U.S. military support for Ukraine with the potential for another Donald Trump presidency on the horizon. During last week's presidential debate, Trump questioned whether the United States should continue to fund Ukraine's fight against Russia. Trump's comments on the war in Ukraine were worrying, Ukrainian politician Oleksiy Goncharenko told CNN.
This post received a score of 4,700, with an upvote ratio of 97%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Are they free sometime in November?
Next January, you mean?
Just hire them from around August.
Greater than they, face up to 10 years in prison if found guilty. The relatively light sentencing here tells me that there was no large threat. A few guys with big plans but without the means, backing, or intelligence to cause any real harm luckily. But who knows, maybe it was just caught very early and could have been a big deal, who's to say? The article certainly doesn't have a whole lot to add.
If you're an American, don't be surprised. A typical term for a normal murder is around 8 years in Ukraine. Europe in general hands out fewer years for everything. If I was a cool, edgy guy, I would say the reason is that we just aren't running a neo-slavery system disguised as a penitentiary, but in reality I don't know why there's such a difference.
Also in America, a man that tried to overthrow the government is a presidential candidate again.
He also stacked the courts with yes men, so he never will face real repercussions even though our constitution intends to hold people like him accountable.
Ukraine is one up on the U.S.
To be fair, Ukraine overthrew the Yanukovych government in 2014. But that wasn't a plot.
Didn't really overthrow it though. The people made it clear that they wouldn't suffer his anti-democratic bullshit. He fled to Russia, and Parliament voted to get rid of him. As far as I'm aware, everything happened legally and without abusing legal loopholes. Now if Parliament had decided to ignore the will of the people, then maybe the government would have been overthrown, but it didn't come to that.
You see? You don't overthrow the government, but you can ask Parliament nicely to call snap election or else and the whole thing would be totally constitutional. The way it works per Ukrainian constitution is, the collective sovereign of the people rules the country either directly or through representatives. If the proxies, aka members of Parliament, are doing a good job, it's all fine, but the direct part implies that power is not irreversibly vested to them. So the whole thing of people overthrowing the government makes zero sense under such constitution.
So basically, the people would technically just be aggressively firing the people they hired to do the job?
Ukrainian legalize for a member of parliament is people's deputy, which is considered to be the proxy, not the actor in their own power, and the president is a kind of a supervisor owning all the fuck-ups of the whole executive branch and upholding the integrity of the process, but not necessarily deciding where it goes, just how. The buck stops at that dude no matter what if he doesn't fire the lower bitch under him. So the dude went rogue on foreign policy and didn't sign the treaty with EU. The people spoke. The parliament eventually caved in. The dude bailed out knowing that he owns the fuck up. The parliament called snap election since he is a no-show in time of crisis. Knowing Ukrainian political tradition, it's all normal business really.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.